I think this issue and the response that it has elicited should be one big lesson for us as the media industry. And it is not just about eNCA or their journalists, but it is about us as the media and as journalists who care about our profession and also the relationship that we have with the audiences that we serve. As a starting point, I think that it challenges us as newsrooms to now introduce standards of procedure in terms of how we treat guests during these times of COVID-19. If it becomes an unwavering rule in every newsroom to make sure that journalists on the field wear masks and also ask their guests to wear masks, that way we won't have to deal with such a situation where we are seen as the media to be treating white politicians differently from black politicians. Secondly, I think it is important for us to acknowledge that those who are angry about this incident are justified. The individuals who feel affronted have a right to be angry, and they also have a right to be heard. We should not be dismissive of their feelings. This country has a dark and a painful history of racial prejudice and violence, and it is not for anyone to tell those who feel racially maligned that they are being malicious. This is a moment that calls for cool heads and for reflection.
Meanwhile, IFP MP Mkhuleko Hlengwa is set to meet with eNCA journalist Lindsay Detlinger following massive backlash after Detlinger asked black politicians to wear face masks during interviews while white politicians were allowed to go maskless. Taking to Twitter this morning, Hlengwa, who wore a mask while the reporter interviewed him, said he received a call from Detlinger who apologized for the events. eNCA came in for a lashing over the budget speech coverage, where in one clip the reporter interviews DA leader John Steenhuisen, who is without a mask, while she asked Hlengwa to keep his mask on. In another clip, Freedom Front Plus leader Peter Groenewald was interviewed without a mask. When UDM Deputy President Ngabayomzi Kwankwa arrived for his turn to be interviewed, he was requested to put on his mask. Let's take a look. All right, so we will try and play that video for you at a later stage. But eNCA has released a statement saying, after meeting the journalist to discuss the incident, management concluded that her conduct was neither racially motivated or with a malicious intent. As you can see, there it is. So the media house also found that the way the journalist has been perceived through this incident is unfair and not a true reflection of the journalist or the channel. We're joined now by Themba Masango, who is Secretary General of #NotInMyName, to respond to this incident. A very good evening to you, Mr. Masango. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So I'm sure you would have seen the eNCA statement by now. First of all, let me just canvass your views on that.
Thank you so much for having us, and excuse the obscure visions. In a vehicle, but though I'm safe, I'm being driven, I'm not driving. The statement by Norman and John Bailey was really, to say the least, very disappointing and disheartening. It was so disingenuous. It is actually laughable if this issue was not really as painful as it is to African people in this country. Basically, what they were saying to us that, you know, it's okay to be racist if you are under pressure, and it's okay to be racist if you've got a producer speaking in your ear, and you know, you are having to move around and make sure that you get to other interviewees, and that it's okay to be racist, you know, if basically, you know, you simply go and tell management that you did not mean to be racist. It was just the given situation. And I'm sure Lindsay Detlinger is a good person. I'm sure she's got black friends. I'm sure she gives money to charity and so on. But that does not mean a human being cannot be racist. And, you know, the three incidents that we saw, which cannot be debunked because they were live on television, where she is clearly showing racist embedded tendencies inside her, you know, of bringing up parliamentarians who are white and not saying anything when they're not wearing masks.
I want to now
and black
take you,
parliamentarians wearing masks.
I want to take you to what eNCA has said. Now, you say, to your view, it's racism. They say they view this as general public conjecture, and they have labeled the reactions as unfair. And you say that there is no excuse for her actions, even if it was an intense broadcast. How can it be anything other than racism? Let me ask that question.
It cannot be anything else but racism, you know. And the fortunate thing is that this was all on camera. You know, if we had seen her say to John Easthuizen or to the FF Plus leader to say, sir, please put on your mask, and them refusing to put it on, it will be understandable. But for her to let them go on, and then when the black speakers come on, then they are told sternly and properly that they should put on a mask, clearly tells you that, you know, she has a form of superior complex towards the black people that are coming on there. And that's part of the reason why today we went to eNCA and we had a meeting with Norman and John, who are the director and the manager, respectively, of the eNCA. And we told them in no uncertain terms that there is no way that any right-thinking South African is going to accept this and this excuse.
So I want to talk about the way forward, because I think the SANEF chair made a very good point that while being very cognizant of the emotive issue of this and the history of our country, that cool heads are needed. What do we do going forward for public education, for journalists to be aware of how their behavior, witting or not, can be offensive?
Thank you for that. In fact, that was part of the meeting we had with the eNCA today, that we need to have progressive programs going forward of sensitivity training for newsrooms, especially our white counterparts in there, for them to understand, you know, the little granular issues when it comes to racism, and for them to understand that, you know, what South Africa has been through and where we are as a country at the moment. We cannot afford to have little insinuation, whether they are intended or not, they come out across as racism. And they have also admitted in our meeting to say that, you know, they wish that this incident had not happened, and they are going to take action within the House and also make sure that they come out publicly to, you know, strongly speak against racism. And hopefully this lady will be taken off of air until such time she understands that you know, racism has got no place in this country. We cannot afford to give racism and racists a soft landing. And this time where we are living in this country, we've got a lot to achieve as a nation together. And we need to root out systematic racism and embedded racism, whether, as you say, it is known to the perpetrator or not. It is violent to us as a people, and we will not accept it. And we need to make sure that going forward, all racists, whether they are in civil society, in public or in the newsrooms, understand that in this country we're not going to tolerate it. We need to have people that see people as people.
I'm so sorry that we have run out of time. I was hoping to ask you about the sentencing of Dumsani Mkhwanazi in the murder of Palesa Madiba, but I'm told that we've run out of time. But thank you so much for your time. Themba Masango is Secretary General of #NotInMyName. Now,